Hey there, this is Ed Herzog and welcome to my demo and tutorial on the Elementor form widget. Now before I get into the demo, I want to mention a couple of things. First of all, the form widget was updated in November of 2019, so there were new features and new functions added to the widget. So if you watch a video that was released before November of 2019, you're not going to see everything that I'm going to show you today. So whether it's my video or whether it's somebody else's video, make sure that you're watching one that is from November 2019 or later. Secondly, remember that the form widget is a pro feature in Elementor Pro. You only have access to the form widget if you have Elementor Pro. So if Elementor Pro is something that you don't currently have and you decide to upgrade, I will put my referral link in the description below. I do appreciate it when people buy via my referral link. It does allow me to continue to make free videos and to make all my content 100% free. Third thing is I've got a lot more videos coming out. I'm going to be showing things not just on Elementor, but also on Opt-in Monster, Thrive Themes, Active Campaign, lots of different tools to help you grow and build your online business. So make sure to subscribe to my channel, hit the notification button, that way you know when I release a new video. Also give this video a thumbs up, if you like it. And what else? If you've got questions or comments, let me know. I always love helping people. So any questions or comments about the form widget, please let me know below. So let me switch my camera over and I'll start to show you what the form widget can do. So before I get into this, let me just mention a couple things. One thing is that one of the features that the form widget does not have is what is called conditional logic. I know a lot of people are asking Elementor to include conditional logic. It's not a feature that it currently has, and I have no idea. Elementor keeps their plans secret, so I have no idea if it's something they're planning. If conditional logic is something that you want or need, you're not going to get it here. You'll need to use some other sort of plugin that allows you to do that. And if you're not familiar with conditional logic, it's where you can take people down kind of different pathways depending on how they respond to questions. So, again, I don't know, just an example. If you've got a company that has, food and other supplies for dogs. So you first ask people, do you currently own a dog? If they say yes, you take them down one path. So, maybe the next question is, what type of dog do you have? If they answer no, you take them down a second path where, maybe the follow-up question is, are you thinking of adopting a dog? So that's what conditional logic is, and that's not something you can do with the form widget as it is in its current version. The other thing to keep in mind, again, a lot of people think of this as a contact widget, right? A way to, and that's how I have it here set up on my website. This is my contact page. Again, you can just see name, email, and message, and then the submit button. But, as I just said, you can also use it for questionnaires, right? There are options here, which I will show you, so you can ask people questions, where you give them like a multiple choice thing, and they can pick whichever option works best for them. So, like when I used to run my career coaching business, I use this widget to have a bunch of different questions I would ask people to pre-qualify them before I accepted them into my coaching services. So this is not just a contact widget. You can do a lot more with it. So let's take a look here. So as you can see, I've got a few fields here, but there are a lot of other options as well. So let's come up here. So first I've got the, here you can give your form a name. I didn't change mine. I've only got one form on my website, so it doesn't really matter to me. Here you can do the name, if that's something you want. This is a text field. Now it doesn't have to be name, but it's a text field. It's a simple text field that just has one line. So it doesn't give you the, you see in the message one, which is text area, you can have much bigger space. But here's just one single line. You then have the label, which is the thing that appears up on top. And the placeholder, which is, you may not be able to see it very well, but right here in very light gray, it says name within the box. That's a placeholder. You can make it required, and actually I need to switch this on. It's not 100% on. I have it on here, but I'll show you a later function where it will put an asterisk here next to the name so people know that it's required. So if they don't fill that out, the form won't submit. You can also then set the column width, and you can use this in a couple different ways. As you can see, I've got this going 100% across. You may not want to do that. You may want to make this say, 66% across. So then it's a smaller form. And one thing you can do, if you want to have, for example, name and email in the same rows, you can see right now I've got everything in one column, but if you want to have them in the same row, I could come down here. I've got that right now at 66. So as long as they add up to under 100%, or 100% or less, they will then show up in the same row. So that's, kind of two different ways in which you can use it. You can just make these things smaller in general, or you can put them along the same row. So let's come back up here to name. I'll put this back up to 100%. And then we get the email field, which is basically the same. Again, you've got your label, your placeholder, you can make required, and you've got your column width. So that is all the same. Now, one of the things that's going on here, because I have this specified as an email field, people can only enter an email in here. If they enter something that's not in the structure of an email, the form will not submit. So they have to enter it as an email. They can't put in a telephone number. They can't put in a website address. It has to be an email. So that's one of the nice features here, is that it does require them to, to fit the structure of the type that you've selected here. And here we've got message. Now again, this is a text area. So one of the differences here is you can put in the number of rows you want. So right now I have at 9 rows. If I want to make it smaller, I can put 4 rows. If I want to make it bigger, I can put 20 rows. However you want to make it. So you can make this box whatever size you want it to be. So then let's take a look at some of the other options here. Oops. Hate when that happens. Okay, so here you can add more items. So if you want to add a new item, you can just add it there. And then again, you can give it label and placeholder, but let's just take a look at these different types. So here you can do a URL. So with that, people have to submit something that's in the structure of a URL, or again, the form will not submit. You can do a telephone number. Now here we're getting more into the questionnaire one. So here's a radio button. So let me show you how that works. So you put here, again, you'd put in a label for it, and then we'll call this label age. And we'll get some options, 18 to 25, 26 to 35, 36 to 45. Okay. So now you can see here they've got these radio buttons, and they can select whichever one works, whatever their age is. So that's how a radio button works. A select box is like this. So they click on that, and then they've got the options there. Now, one of the differences here, and I think this, in my opinion, this is a little strange how they have this set up. You can do this as a multiple selection. So if you want people to be able to select more than one in this category, you can do it with this particular type. None of the other types allow this. I don't actually think this is the best type to use it for, but I'll show you how this works. So if you pick multiple selection, and then you can't see this, I realize, but I'm holding down my arrow key, my shift up key, and then press the button, and that way they can select more than one. But they can't, it doesn't look like you can, like if I do 1825 then try to select 36 to 45, I can't do that. It selects the whole thing. So it seems like they have to be adjacent to one another. Now, obviously with age, they hopefully only have one age, but you might have a different category where more than one of them applies. I think something like this would work better with the radio button I just showed you, or the other one I'm going to show you, which is the checkbox. But with this one, it's a little strange. You can also decide how many rows you want to show, which again, to me, I'm not sure why. I guess now they've got to scroll down to see additional rows. I'm not sure why you'd want to have fewer rows than than responses you have, but that is an option if you want to do that. Then we come down here to, that was select, we can do checkbox. So again, it's the same thing. Now again, this is one where I think it would make a little more sense to give them, okay, actually you can, it just doesn't tell you. There's actually, I guess it's default here because there's no option to tell it you can do a multiple selection, but I guess it is actually default here that you can do multiple selection. Here you've also got inline text, which if you want to do that, it puts it across as opposed to up and down. I think the radio has that too. Let me just double check on that. I forgot to check on that. Yeah, so radio does have it as well. I forgot to mention that. So those two, both radio and checkbox, you can put it either across or up and down. Then we've got acceptance. So acceptance would be, this might be something where, maybe if they're signing up for a website, you might want to have them accept your terms and conditions. So, you can create a box here. You can put text here to create that. And you can also turn it check by default. So if you check it by default, as you can see, that arrow just showed up. So you can have them, again, accept the terms, whatever you want to put there, have it set up as default. So that's acceptance. Then we get into number. So you can have them submit a number. Again, maybe, again, getting into this dog food company thing that I talked about earlier, maybe, you want to ask them how many dogs they have, right? And so you can put a minimum value and a maximum value. So that's something you can do. You can have them submit a number. You can have them submit a date. So here, again, and again, you can put labels on all these, right? Again, I'm not going to show you all these because it's just, it's kind of repetitive. But again, you can put label and placeholder. Again, you can make it required. You can put a minimum and a maximum date. So let's see how that works. So, if you're maybe, I don't know, maybe you've got a hotel and you're accepting reservations for your hotel, and so you want to give them some, but you don't want them to be able to put a date in the past. That doesn't make sense. So maybe you have some sort of date, set that up so it's the current date. I don't know. However you want to put a minimum date and a maximum date in there, but that does allow them to, to put in a date that they want to perhaps say at your hotel. There's also an option here for native HTML. I guess does that change the structure? Yeah, so if you change that, it shows you that, oh, that's pretty cool. Okay, so I'm just kind of playing around with this right now. So then they can come here and pick a date. And if I turn that off, how does that work? Okay, so it does change this, clicking this native HTML thing does kind of change how this is done. It looks a little different. It looks better, I think. And it shows you the structure, month, month, day, day, and then year, 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 year. Okay, so that's the date. We come down here, we get time. So again, time might be, I don't know, maybe you've got a delivery van company or, a moving company, and so you want to know like what time they want you to come and help them out. So again, you can put that in here, and again, you can switch on, oh, that came out really small, the text on that. Oh, I guess it's just lines. So they can go up on that one and then tab over. This is actually, why is it putting date? It should say, oh, I'm sorry, those are just the labels I had from before. This would be time. Confused myself there, sorry about that. Hopefully it didn't confuse you. So again, you'd want to change the label, obviously. But let's see how this works, because it's giving you 3 things to put in, which means, is that PM? It's not letting me do PM or AM here. I wonder what this is supposed to be. It doesn't say what this last one is. I do it this way. Okay, so here, when I don't have the native HTML on, it does show me here I can do this, and then that, and then do AM or PM. With this one here, with the native HTML, it's a little different. It's a little, you can do that, and then over here, oops. Yeah, this one doesn't seem, it seems like there might be some sort of little bug here because it's not letting me put in the AM or PM here on the time when I'm using the native HTML5. Sorry, I hadn't played around a lot with that, but it looks like there might be a little bit of a bug when you use the native HTML5. So just something to keep in mind. File upload. Okay, file upload. If you need people to send you files, you've got that option. Just change that. And you can set a maximum file size, so anywhere from 1 megabyte to 512 megabytes. Now it does say that this is going to be dependent on your hosting. So no matter what you put here, if you put something that's bigger than what your hosting will allow, you will need to contact your hosting company to have them increase that. Here you can allow different types of file types, PDF, doc, etc., JPEG, whatever you want. You can allow them to upload multiple files. So if you need more than one file, maybe sometimes people do need to upload more than one. Then you can set a maximum number of files. So maybe you only want them to send a maximum of 6 files. So you can set that up as well. So you've got the file upload option. Okay, password. Let's talk about password for a second. This is one I played around with this morning, and I have to admit, I don't quite understand this one. There's almost no documentation about it. What Elementor says is it allows people to set a password for your website. So I went ahead and I tried this out. And I figured that this would then, if, you may be aware that people can, register for your website if you allow that. You can go into your settings, go here to General, and right here, Membership, anyone can register. And it sets them up here. I've got them set up as a subscriber. Now then I come over here. So I tried it twice, two different kind of fake profiles. And, this is me as the admin, and I'm seeing nothing. So I don't know what's going on here. I don't know what exactly the subscriber function is supposed to do. It's here, there should be password. So, they're going to enter a password, one that isn't visible as they're typing it. And so, in theory, it should be allowing them to register for your website. But in practice, I'm honestly not sure what it does. And I checked on the Elementor Facebook group, and there's almost no mention of this. So one person who was asking about this also said it was very unclear to him what it was that you're supposed to do. So if this is a function you want or need to use in your forms, you'll need to contact Elementor support, because this, to me, I don't know what it's supposed to do. I couldn't figure it out. The one other person who tried to figure it out couldn't do it either. So there's definitely some confusion here as to what that's supposed to do. Here is something with HTML. Again, this one I'm not entirely sure about. I don't do a lot with HTML. I do know when Elementor released this is one of the new functions in they released in November of 2019. Just looking at the comments, people were pretty excited about this. And so, if you need to put HTML into your forms, you do have that option. And then let's see, what else do we have here? HTML. You can do a hidden form, hidden one. I'm not sure exactly what that's supposed to do since it's hidden. It's a little unclear. If it's hidden, I don't know who that really helps since nobody can see it. Then you've got some options for security, so you're not getting spams. You've got reCAPTCHA. I don't have reCAPTCHA set up, so I can't really show that to you, but hopefully you're familiar with that. You can change the size, either normal or compact. And you've got light or dark. Then they've got reCAPTCHA version 3, which you can do as bottom right, bottom left, or inline. And then they've got honeypot. So if you want to use honeypot to reduce spam. So those are the different types of kind of things you can have here in your forms, in your questionnaires, however you want to call it. So I'm going to delete that because I don't actually need that. Okay, so now here you can change the input size for these things. You've got extra small. You can see that made it smaller. Small, medium, medium, large, and extra large. So you've got those. You can turn the label on or off. I like to have it on, but you don't have to have it. But if you've got a placeholder already here, you may not want it on, so you can turn that on or off. Now, as I said, I still hadn't turned the required mark on. You saw that on, on these things here, I did have it activated, but you also have to activate it here. If it's not activated here, it's not going to show up, so people don't know that it's required. So right there is where you turn it on. Okay, then you've got the submit button. And you can change the text there. You can make the size different. Again, small, extra large, and lots of things in between. You can change the column width, again, if you want to make it smaller. And you can change the alignment. Again, if you're, particularly if you're using a smaller size button, you may want to change the alignment. You can also put an icon in there if you want to put an icon in there. So that's the button. And there are some other styling options. I'll show you the other styling options. This is just setting it up. Now you've got your actions after submit. So, what do you want to have happen when somebody submits this form? So you've got a variety of different options. Now, first of all, you've got email, which is the one I have set up. So with email, here it's going to me, okay? And then you put a subject line in, right? So I just have a news message from Ed Herzog, name of my website. Then you can put in what do you want the message to contain. Here I have it set to contain all fields. So, all these fields will show up. If you want to change that, if you don't want to show all fields, here's what you need to do. Let me just come back up here to form fields. If I come here under name and then come under here under advanced, you'll see a short code right here. That short code is what you need to put in that fields line down here on the email. So or under here on the message. So you'd put that short code right there and get rid of all fields. So if for some reason you don't want all fields to be sent to you, or if you're, because you can also have this sent to the person who submitted the form. So maybe you don't, they don't need to know what their email is, or you know what their email is. So maybe you don't, need to include that in the message that gets sent to them. You can also add additional email addresses. Just put a comma, and you can add additional email addresses. So that is an option. Here you set up the from email, the from name, the reply to. It can be either the email name or the email field, or you've got the option for that's interesting, email at edherzog.com. I'm not sure exactly where that goes to. You'd have to play around with that a little bit. You can do a CC, a BCC, and then here's the metadata that will be included, and whether you want it set as HTML or plain text. So that is the email. And you can do, again, for actions after submit, you can do email 1 and email 2. So again, if you perhaps want to send this to, to the person who submitted the form, you can send an email to them so they have a confirmation of what they sent to you. Or maybe you want to send one email to you and one to your colleague, but maybe you don't want your colleague to get all the information. Again, you could set that up. Again, you could by going into those short codes that I just showed you, and maybe they don't get all the information. Maybe your secretary or somebody else, maybe you don't want them to see the email of the people who send you stuff. Maybe that's considered confidential information. So however you want to set up. So you've got options to do 2 different emails. You could do a redirect. So with a redirect, you'd put in the website you want to direct them to, some sort of a thank you page, some sort, or it could be, thanks for your message, we'll get back to you within 24 hours. However you want to set that up. You can do a redirect. You can do a webhook. I don't use webhooks. I'll admit I don't entirely understand them. It's not something I've ever used, ever found a need for, but if webhooks are something that interests you, you can set those up. You can have the message or connect with MailChimp, Drip, ActiveCampaign, GetResponse, ConvertKit, or MailerLite directly. So if you want these people, once they send you a message, because this could be a form that is part of an opt-in for whatever kind of free thing you give away. Again, there's a lot of flexibility in how you use this. So if that's how you have it set up, and you want them to go into your email responder, you can do that. So, I can click, I use ActiveCampaign, so I click ActiveCampaign, I already got it. You'd have to get this set up. I've already got the email set up, and so I could select the list there as to what list I want to put them in and what tags I want to put on there. So you've got those ones for getting them into your autoresponder. Then you can also connect with Slack or Discord. Again, those aren't things I personally use, so I'm a little less familiar with them. We can take a quick look here. So for Slack, it's giving a webhook URL, the channel, username, pretext, title, description, form data, timestamp, and then you can change the color. So those are the options you have for that. For Discord, let's get these out of here because I don't actually want those in there. Let's see here. For Discord, you can come down here, and again, it's a lot of the same things. Webhook, oops. Lost that. Yeah, there we go. Webhook URL. They've got instructions there. You can click for username, avatar URL, title, description, form data, timestamp, and color. Oops. And then the last one down here was pop-up. So pop-up, again, I'm not sure exactly how you want to use this. You can, have it either open a pop-up or close a pop-up once somebody submits this. Again, maybe you have a thank you message. So you want to, as opposed to redirecting the thank you page, maybe you have a pop-up set up in the pop-up builder. And so when they submit the button, you get a pop-up that says, thank you for your message. We'll get back to you within, an hour or within 24 hours. So that could be a way that you use something like that. So those are your actions after submit. Then you come down here and you have additional options. You've got a form ID. But then most importantly, you've got these custom messages, which you can turn. You've got to either turn them all on or all off. You don't have an option to do these individually. But you've got a success message. So when somebody submits this, what message you want displayed here. You've got an error message. Again, what message if there's an error? Maybe they filled something out, didn't put an email address there, put a name. Required message. So again, if they don't fill out one of these required forms, so they get a message saying, this is required. Then an invalid message. Again, I'm not sure exactly what would trigger error versus invalid, but those are options that might happen. So you can, again, customize those messages. So those are your options for kind of setting the form up. Now in terms of styling the form, let's take a look at this. So first of all, you can create column gaps. So again, I showed you how I could put, for example, the name and the email form on the same line. With a column gap, I can then put a gap in between those. I can set that however big I want it to be. The row gap, again, I'm going to put a gap between these vertically. So again, if I want to make that bigger, I can make that bigger. And the label, here you've got spacing. So the amount of space I want between the label and the actual place where they fill the thing out. So again, you can see by increasing that, there's more space between this and what they're filling out. Oops. Yeah, there we go. Now here you've got text color, so you can change the color of the text. If you want the text to be a different color, you can do that. You can make the mark a different color. So that would be this, again, the required mark. So I can make that green. If I want to make it green, do that. Here you've got your typography. So again, this is pretty standard. So you can, here we're working with the label, which is that up there. So you can, set up this however you want. Again, this is pretty standard. If you used Elementor, you know about all the different things you can do with the typography that's for the label. They've got something here for the HTML field. Again, I'm not entirely familiar with that, so I can't really speak a whole lot about that. But again, you've got spacing, color, and typography. Then you've got the field, which is the thing here where they're going to be filling out. So you can, again, you can make the text different. You can make the typography different. You can give it a background color. So, I don't know, you want to have a black background color, so now I've got black there. So then you probably want to have white font for the other part. You can give it a border color. So you can put a border around that. You can make the border bigger or smaller. Like that. Let's clear this out here. There is a default of a 1 for the border. So it does have a default border, obviously, because you do want, this is a form here they have to fill out. You can give it a radius if you want to make it, let's see here, if you want to make it a little more circular, you can do that. So you've got some options there for customizing this box as well. Then we come down to the button. And again, this is pretty standard. If you've done anything with buttons in Elementor, this is all going to be the same. There's really nothing different here. It's a standard button. So you've got your options for your color, your text color, your typography, your border type. You can do border radius, text padding, and you can do, you can put hover on as well for what happens when people hover over the button. So that's pretty standard. There's really nothing there that's different than any other button that you'll see in Elementor. And then the messages. Again, you can, with typography, and then success message, error message, and inline message color. That's interesting. I didn't see anything called inline message color, so I'm not sure exactly what that controls, but at least for success and error, you can change the color of it, and you can change the typography for everything right there for the messages that I showed you under the advanced options here down, or the additional options right down under here for success, error, required, and invalid. So you can style that as well. So you've got a lot of options. Again, I like simple. This is, my form. It's pretty simple, as you can see. And then you can do, again, you can do anything you can do with anything else in Elementor. You can change the margins, change the padding, you can give it a z-index. You can add CSS ID, CSS classes. Oops. can put in motion effects if that's something you want to do. You can, I don't know if you want to animate your this so it fades in down. You can do things like that. I mean, again, it's standard Elementor. You can do all these sorts of things. And again, you can put a background. If you want a background here, you can do standard background, color, image, gradient. Again, this is all pretty standard. That looks horrible. I realize just kind of playing around here and showing what you can do. What else here? Again, you can put a border around this. Got positioning, you've got responsive actions. You can do attributes. This is actually, I'm going to do a separate video on the attributes because as I understand it, this would be what you could do with this in combination with the form is that if you send somebody, for example, a message, let's say, I use ActiveCampaign, you send them a message and it links to this form. What happens is that when they click on that URL in ActiveCampaign and come to this form, you can already pre-populate some of the fields so they don't have to fill out their name, they don't have to fill out their email. You can already have those pre-populated. So, I don't know, maybe you run an insurance company, health insurance, and you send your contacts, hey, click here to get a free health insurance quote. And so, they click on that in ActiveCampaign or MailChimp or whatever, and then when they come to your website, this, some of this stuff will already be filled out. They don't have to fill it out. So that's what custom attributes is, and you can do custom CSS. Again, this stuff here under the advanced tab is pretty standard. You can see that on any of the Elementor widgets. One other thing I want to show you before I finish, that's basically the demo and the tutorial of what you can do with the form. Again, a lot of different options. You can't do the conditional logic. That is the one kind of, I would say, negative about this. Some people do like that. You'll need a different plugin or some sort of SaaS to do that if you're looking for looking to use conditional logic. If you need some help in terms of designing a form, let me just go here, add section, and come over here to add template, and then come over here to blocks. You can come down here and go here. They've got contact, so they've got some contact forms set up. I'm not, these aren't ones that I find particularly interesting or exciting, but they do have these if you want some help in terms of your contact forms. You've got some here in the blocks. I thought I had this set up. I apologize, but if you're familiar with Envato, I guess, Elements, which is a free plugin. It has lots of different blocks, lots of different templates, full website templates. They also have blocks for contact forms. So that is another, you can download that. Just Google Envato Elements, and you can download the plugin for free. And that will give you a lot of different styling options as well. Although, again, from what I've seen, they're fairly simple ones. They're more kind of this type I have here, a contact message, or not what I showed you in terms of some questionnaire features that you can set up with Elementor. So that's it. Let me switch back over on my camera here. There I am again. Okay, so that was my demo and my tutorial of the Elementor form widget. Again, this is a pro option. You will need Elementor Pro if you want to use this form widget. If you've got questions about this form widget, please let me know. I'm always willing to help people. I like helping people. I'm from Ohio. I don't know if that makes a difference. But I think people from the Midwest were kind of laid back and casual, and we like to help people. And what else can I tell you? Subscribe to my channel. Again, I've got a lot of other videos coming out, and not just on Elementor, but other tools to help you grow your online business. So subscribe, hit the notification button, and that's it. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.